Maya sat on the cold bathroom floor, staring at the small plastic stick in her hands. 2 pink lines, clear as day. She blinked hard, hoping they would disappear when she opened her eyes again. They didn't. Her heart was beating so fast she could hear it in her ears. This wasn't supposed to happen, not now, not like this. She was 28, had a great job at a marketing company, and was finally getting her life together after years of hard work. And David? Well, David was just David. The guy she'd been casually seeing for 3 months. The photographer who made her laugh and never asked for more than she was ready to give. She looked at her watch. He would be here any minute for their usual Thursday dinner. They had a routine. Takeout from the Thai place down the street, maybe a movie, maybe he'd stay over, maybe he wouldn't. Easy. Simple. No pressure. But now everything was different. Maya stood up slowly, her legs feeling shaky. She walked to her bedroom and sat on the edge of her bed, still holding the test. How do you tell someone news like this, especially someone you're not even officially dating? They'd never even talked about being exclusive, let alone about futures, or families, or any of the serious stuff. The doorbell rang and Maya jumped. Her stomach dropped. This was it. She walked to the door like she was walking to her own trial. When she opened it, David was standing there with his usual smile, holding a bag of food and his camera bag slung over his shoulder. His dark hair was messy from the wind, and he had that relaxed look he always carried, like nothing in the world could really bother him. "Hey, beautiful," he said, leaning in to kiss her cheek. "I got extra spring rolls because I know you've been craving them lately." Maya stepped back and David noticed immediately. His smile faded a little. "Everything okay?" he asked, setting the food down on her kitchen counter. "You look pale." Maya's mouth felt dry. She'd practiced this moment in her head a dozen times, while waiting for him to arrive. But now all her planned words were gone. "David, we need to talk," she said quietly. He turned around fully now, giving her his complete attention. That was one thing she'd always liked about him. When you were talking to David, you felt like you were the only person in the world. "Okay," he said slowly. "Should I be worried?" Maya walked to her couch and sat down. David followed, sitting on the edge of the coffee table across from her so they were face to face. "I'm pregnant," she said simply. There was no good way to say it, so she just said it. David's face went completely blank. For a moment, he looked like he hadn't heard her at all. Then his eyes widened slightly and Maya watched as the reality of her words hit him. "Pregnant," he repeated, like he was testing out how the word sounded. "Yes." "Are you sure?" Maya held up the test she'd been clutching in her hand. David looked at it like it was something from another planet. "I took 3 tests," Maya said. "They all say the same thing." David ran his hands through his hair and stood up. He walked to the window, then back to the couch, then to the kitchen. Maya watched him pace, her heart breaking a little more with each step he took away from her. "I know this isn't what either of us planned," Maya said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Trust me, I'm just as shocked as you are." David stopped pacing and looked at her. "How long have you known?" "About an hour," Maya said. "You're the first person I've told." "An hour," David repeated. He sat back down, this time on the couch next to her instead of across from her. "So you've been sitting here for an hour thinking about this alone?" Maya nodded. "I kept thinking you'd get here and I'd tell you it was all a mistake or a false alarm or something. But it's not." They sat in silence for a few minutes. Maya could hear the clock on her wall ticking, and somewhere in the building someone was playing music too loud. "What do you want to do?" David asked finally. Maya had been asking herself the same question all afternoon. "I don't know," she said, honestly. "I mean, I know what I should want. I should want to focus on my career and wait until I'm ready and have everything figured out, but when I saw those pink lines, I felt something I wasn't expecting. I felt happy. Scared out of my mind, but happy." Maya looked at David. "What about you? What do you want?" David was quiet for a long time. Maya started to panic, thinking he was going to say he wasn't ready, that this was too much, that maybe they should take a break and figure things out separately. Instead, he reached over and took her hand. "I want to be honest with you," he said. "This scares me more than anything has ever scared me in my life. My parents got divorced when I was 12, and it was ugly, really ugly. I swore I'd never put a kid through what I went through." Maya's heart sank. "But," David continued, "sitting here right now, looking at you, thinking about you going through this alone, that scares me even more." "You don't have to do anything you don't want to do," Maya said quickly. "I mean it. I'm not trying to trap you or force you into anything." David squeezed her hand. "You're not trapping me. If anything, maybe this is exactly what I needed to stop running from everything good in my life." Maya felt tears starting to form in her eyes. "Are you saying you want to do this, together?" "I'm saying I want to try," David said. "I don't know how to be a father. I don't know how to be in a serious relationship. But I know I care about you more than I've cared about anyone in a long time, and I want to figure it out with you." Maya started crying then. Not sad tears, but relief tears. All the fear and worry she'd been carrying around all afternoon started to lift. "I don't know how to do any of this either," she said through her tears. "I work 60 hours a week and can barely keep a plant alive." David laughed, and the sound made Maya feel like maybe everything was going to be okay. "Well," he said, "I guess we'll learn together." He pulled her into a hug, and Maya breathed in the familiar smell of his cologne, mixed with the faint scent of coffee that always seemed to follow him around. For the first time since she'd seen those pink lines, she felt like she wasn't carrying this alone. "The Thai food is probably cold by now," David said into her hair. "I can't eat Thai food anymore," Maya said. "It makes me sick." "Right. Morning. Sickness. I should probably learn about that stuff." Maya pulled back to look at him. "You really want to do this?" "I really want to try," David said. "With you." They ordered pizza instead and spent the rest of the evening talking about things they'd never talked about before. Big things, important things, scary things. And for the first time since Maya had moved to the city 5 years ago, she felt like she wasn't just building a life for herself anymore. She was building a life for 3. 2 weeks after the big news, Maya was learning that pregnancy was nothing like what she'd seen in movies. She woke up every morning feeling like she'd been hit by a truck, and the smell of coffee, which used to be her favorite thing in the world, now made her run to the bathroom. She was sitting at her desk at work, trying not to look as green as she felt, when her phone buzzed. It was David. "How's the morning going?" his text read. Maya smiled despite feeling terrible. Ever since that night in her apartment, David had been checking on her constantly, not in an annoying way, but in a sweet way that made her realize how much he really cared. "Like I want to crawl under my desk and hide," she texted back. "Ginger tea break in 10 minutes, he replied. "Meet me downstairs." Maya looked around the office. Her boss was in a meeting and she had finished her morning reports. She grabbed her purse and headed for the elevator. David was waiting outside her building with a steaming cup and a small bag from the bakery next door. "Plain crackers," he said, handing her both items. "I read online that they help with morning sickness." Maya took a sip of the tea and immediately felt a little better. "You've been reading about pregnancy?" David looked a little embarrassed. "I might have spent most of last night on pregnancy websites. Did you know that by week 8 the baby is about the size of a raspberry?" Maya laughed. "You're such a nerd." "You're nerd," David said, then paused. "I mean, if you want me to be." Maya's heart fluttered. They still hadn't really talked about what they were to each other now. Everything had changed so fast. "I'd like that," she said softly. David smiled and kissed her forehead. "Good. Because I was hoping you'd say that." They walked to the small park across the street and sat on a bench. Maya nibbled on the crackers while David told her about his morning photo shoot with a family who had 3 kids under the age of 5. "It was chaos," he said. "But good chaos, you know. The parents were laughing even when the youngest kid started crying, and the middle one decided to take off his shirt and run around the park. Does that scare you? Maya asked. Thinking about our life being that chaotic? David was quiet for a moment. Sometimes. But then I think about doing it with you, and it doesn't seem so scary anymore. Maya felt that flutter in her chest again. David had a way of saying exactly what she needed to hear. I should probably head back, Maya said, checking her phone. I have a client meeting in 20 minutes. Want me to pick you up after work? We could go to that bookstore you like and look at pregnancy books. Maya nodded. I'd love that. That evening, they spent 2 hours in the pregnancy section of the bookstore, reading about what to expect over the next 9 months. Maya was fascinated by how much the baby would grow and change. David kept reading facts out loud that made them both laugh. Listen to this, he said. At 12 weeks, the baby can hiccup. Hiccup? How cute is that? Maya watched him as he read, his face lighting up with each new piece of information. She was starting to understand that David wasn't just going along with this because he felt he had to. He was genuinely excited. We should probably tell our family soon, Maya said, as they walked back to her apartment. David's expression changed, slightly. Yeah, we should. Are you nervous about that? Terrified, Maya admitted. My parents are going to have so many questions. They've been asking me when I'm going to settle down and give them grandchildren for years, but I don't think this is exactly what they had in mind. What do you mean? Maya sighed. They're pretty traditional. They're going to want to know when we're getting married, how long we've been together, whether we're financially stable. All the things we haven't figured out yet. David took her hand. We'll figure it out as we go, and if your parents give you a hard time, they'll have to deal with me. Maya squeezed his hand. My hero. I'm serious, David said. You're not doing this alone anymore, we're a team now. Maya felt tears starting to form in her eyes. Pregnancy hormones were making her cry at everything lately, but this felt different. This felt like relief. I'm not used to being part of a team, she said. I've been taking care of myself for so long. I know, David said, but you don't have to anymore. I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. They decided to tell their families that weekend. Maya called her parents first while David sat next to her on her couch holding her hand for support. Mom, I have some news, Maya said when her mother answered. Oh good, I hope it's about that promotion you were waiting for. Actually, it's about something else. I'm pregnant. The silence on the other end of the phone lasted so long that Maya thought the call had dropped. Pregnant? Her mother finally said, Maya, honey, are you sure? Very sure, Mom. And the father? Is he someone we know? Maya looked at David, who was listening to every word. His name is David. He's a photographer. He's wonderful, Mom. You're going to love him. When can we meet him? Her father's voice came through the phone. He must have been listening, on the other line. Soon, Dad. Maybe next weekend? We'd like that very much, her mother said. And Maya could hear her voice getting warmer. Oh, honey, we're going to be grandparents. After Maya hung up, David called his sister while Maya listened. Lila, I have some news, he said. I'm going to be a dad. Maya could hear Lila screaming with excitement through the phone. Are you serious? David, that's amazing. Who's the lucky girl? Her name is Maya. She's incredible, Lila. I can't wait for you to meet her. When's the baby due? Have you thought about names? Are you going to find out if it's a boy or girl? David laughed. Slow down. We're still figuring everything out. I'm so happy for you, Lila said. You deserve this, David. You deserve to be happy. After he hung up, David turned to Maya. See? That wasn't so bad. Your sister sounds amazing. Maya said, She is. She's going to love you, and she's going to spoil this baby rotten. Maya curled up next to David on the couch. I can't believe we're really doing this. Having second thoughts, David asked. No, Maya said quickly. Not at all. It's just 3 weeks ago I was single and focused on my career and couldn't imagine my life any other way. Now I'm pregnant and in love and planning a future with someone I never expected to meet. David's arm tightened around her. In love? Maya felt her cheeks get warm. Did I say that out loud? You did. Well, I meant it. David turned so he could look at her face. I love you too, Maya. I think I started falling for you that first day at the coffee shop when you got frustrated with your laptop and started talking to it like it was a person. Maya laughed. That's embarrassing. That's when I knew you were different. Special. David kissed her then, soft and sweet, and Maya felt like everything in her life was finally falling into place. It wasn't the life she had planned, but it was turning out to be so much better than anything she could have imagined. Maya was 5 months pregnant when everything almost fell apart. She was sitting in her doctor's office alone because David was stuck at a wedding shoot that ran late, when Dr. Peterson came back into the room with a serious look on her face. Maya, I need you to stay calm, the doctor said, sitting down across from her. We found something on your ultrasound that we need to watch closely. Maya's heart stopped. What do you mean? The baby's growth has slowed down a bit from last month. It's probably nothing serious, but I want to monitor you more closely. I'm going to need you to come in twice a week for the next few weeks, and I want you to take it easy. No stress, lots of rest. Maya stared at the doctor, trying to process what she was hearing. Is the baby going to be okay? Most likely, yes. But I want to be careful. Do you have someone who can help you? Someone who can make sure you're resting and not pushing yourself too hard? Maya nodded, though her mind was spinning. My boyfriend, David. Good. I want you to call him right now and tell him what's happening. And Maya, try not to worry too much. Stress isn't good for you or the baby right now. Maya's hands were shaking as she dialed David's number. He answered on the first ring. Hey, beautiful. How did the appointment go? David, I need you to come to the doctor's office now. David's tone changed immediately. What's wrong? Are you okay? Just please come. I'll explain when you get here. David arrived 15 minutes later, still wearing his wedding photographer outfit, his hair messy from running. He found Maya sitting in the waiting room, staring at the floor. Maya, what happened? He sat down next to her and took her hands. Maya told him everything the doctor had said, watching his face grow more concerned with each word. So we need to be more careful, David said when she finished. Okay, we can do that. David, what if something's wrong? What if I lose the baby? David pulled her into his arms right there in the waiting room. Hey, don't think like that. The doctor said it's probably nothing, right? We're going to be extra careful and everything's going to be fine. But Maya could hear the worry in his voice too. The next few weeks were the hardest of Maya's life. She had to cut back her hours at work, which meant missing out on a big project she'd been leading. David rearranged his entire schedule to be with her as much as possible, turning down photography jobs that would take him out of town. You don't have to babysit me, Maya said one afternoon, as David brought her lunch in bed for the third day in a row. I'm not babysitting you, David said, sitting on the edge of the bed. I'm taking care of the woman I love and our baby. There's a difference. Maya felt tears starting again. Everything made her cry these days. I feel so useless. I can't work, I can't do anything. I just lie here all day worrying. David set the lunch tray aside and lay down next to her. You're growing our baby, that's not useless, that's the most important job in the world right now. What if I'm not good at this? What if I can't even keep the baby safe before it's born? David turned to face her. Maya, listen to me. You are the strongest person I know. You've worked your way up from nothing to become one of the best marketing directors in the city. You take care of everyone around you. You're going to be an amazing mother. How do you know? Because I watch you every day. I see how you worry about your coworkers when they're having problems. I see how you remember everyone's birthdays and always know exactly what to say when someone's having a bad day. I see how much you already love this baby. Maya reached for David's hand and placed it on her belly. At 5 months, she was finally starting to show, and sometimes she could feel little flutters that the doctor said were the baby moving. I love you, she whispered. I love you too. Both of you. They lay there quietly for a while, David's hand on her belly, both of them hoping and praying that everything would be okay. 2 weeks later, at Maya's next appointment, Dr. Peterson had better news. The baby's growth is back on track, she said. smiling as she looked at the ultrasound screen. Whatever we did, it worked. The baby looks healthy and strong. Maya started crying immediately, but this time they were happy tears. David squeezed her hand so tight it almost hurt. "So everything's okay?" David asked. "Everything looks great. Maya, you can go back to your normal activities, but still try to take it easy. No marathon workouts or anything crazy." "Can I go back to work?" Maya asked. "Part-time for now. But yes, I think that would be fine." Driving home from the appointment, Maya felt lighter than she had in weeks. David kept looking over at her and smiling. "I can't believe it," Maya said. "Everything's really okay." "I told you it would be. You were scared too, I could tell." David was quiet for a moment. "Yeah, I was terrified. The thought of losing you or the baby. I've never been that scared in my life. But you stayed. You took care of me even when you were scared." "Of course I did. That's what you do when you love someone." Maya looked at David as he drove, his profile serious and thoughtful. Over the past few weeks, while she was worried and scared and feeling helpless, David had been her rock. He'd brought her meals, held her when she cried, and never once complained about missing work or changing his plans. "David? Yeah? I want to marry you." David almost swerved the car. He pulled over to the side of the road and turned to look at her. "What did you just say?" "I said I want to marry you. I know we haven't talked about it much, and I know everything's been crazy, but these past few weeks, I realized I can't imagine my life without you. I don't want to." David's face broke into the biggest smile Maya had ever seen. "Are you proposing? To me?" Maya laughed. "I guess I am. Is that weird?" "It's perfect," David said, leaning over to kiss her. "And yes, I want to marry you too." "Really?" "Maya, I've wanted to marry you since the day you told me you were pregnant, and I realized I didn't want to do any of this with anyone else." They sat there on the side of the road, kissing and laughing and planning their future together. Baby chose that moment to kick for the first time, strong enough that both of them could feel it. "I think someone approves," David said, his hand on Maya's belly. "I think someone's ready to meet their parents," Maya said. "Not yet," David said. "We still have 4 months to figure out how to be a family." "We're already a family," Maya said. "The three of us, we're already a family." David kissed her again, and Maya knew that no matter what challenges were ahead of them, they would face them together. They had already proven that love was stronger than fear, and that was enough to build a life on. Maya was 7 months pregnant when David surprised her with the photo book. They were sitting in their new apartment, a bigger place they'd found together with an extra room for the nursery, when David pulled out a wrapped package. "What's this for?" Maya asked, struggling to lean forward over her growing belly to reach the gift. "Just because," David said, but Maya could tell he was nervous about something. "Open it." Maya carefully unwrapped the package to find a beautiful leather-bound photo book. On the cover, in David's neat handwriting, it said, "Our Beginning." She opened the first page and gasped. It was a photo of her from that very first night when she told him about the pregnancy. She didn't even remember him taking it, but there she was, sitting on her couch, looking scared, but determined. "David, when did you take this?" "When you went to get us water," he said quietly. "I don't know why I did it. I guess I knew it was a moment I'd want to remember." Maya turned the page. There were photos of her at different stages of pregnancy. Some she remembered posing for, others she had no idea he'd taken. There was one of her sleeping, her hand resting on her belly. Another of her laughing at something on TV, her profile showing how much she'd grown. "Look at this one," David said, reaching over to turn to a specific page. It was a photo of both of them at her doctor's appointment, the day they found out everything was okay with the baby. Maya was crying happy tears, and David was kissing her forehead. Someone must have taken it with David's camera. "The nurse offered to take it," David explained. "I'm glad she did." Maya kept turning pages, watching their story unfold in pictures. There were photos of them painting the nursery. David with paint in his hair and Maya directing from a chair because she couldn't reach the high spots anymore. Pictures of them at baby stores, looking overwhelmed by all the choices. A photo of Maya's parents visiting, her mother's hand on Maya's belly, her father shaking David's hand with a big smile. "David, this is incredible," Maya said, her voice thick with emotion. "I can't believe you documented all of this." "I wanted to capture everything," David said. "So when our daughter is older, she can see how much we loved her even before she was born." Maya looked up at him. "Daughter?" David's face went red. "I wasn't supposed to say that. Dr. Peterson told me at the last appointment when you were in the bathroom. I wanted to wait and tell you together, but it just slipped out." Maya started laughing and crying at the same time. "We're having a girl?" "We're having a girl," David confirmed, grinning widely. Maya threw her arms around him, which was harder to do now that she was so big. But she managed it. "A little girl, David. Can you believe it?" "I've been thinking about names," David admitted, "but I wanted to wait until we knew for sure before I suggested any." They spent the next hour going through name books and websites, tossing ideas back and forth. Some made them both laugh, others they seriously considered. Finally, David suggested a name that made Maya's heart skip. "What about Elena? It means bright light in Spanish." Maya repeated the name softly. "Elena, I love it. Elena Rose?" "Elena Rose Rodriguez," David said, trying out the full name. "If she takes my last name, I mean, if you want her to, we should probably talk about that stuff." Maya had been thinking about the same thing. "Actually, I was thinking maybe we should all have the same last name, you know? Be a real family." David looked at her carefully. "Are you saying you want to take my name?" "I'm saying I want us to be the Rodriguez family. You, me, and Elena." David's eyes got bright, and Maya could tell he was trying not to cry. "I would love that more than anything." They were getting married in 6 weeks, right after Elena was born. They'd decided on a small ceremony at Maya's parents' house, just close family and friends. Maya's mom had been planning it like it was the wedding of the century, even though Maya kept telling her they wanted something simple. "Speaking of the wedding," David said, "I have something else for you." He got up and went to their bedroom, coming back with a small blue box. "David, you already gave me a ring," Maya said, looking at the simple but beautiful engagement ring on her finger. "This is different," David said, sitting back down next to her. "This is your wedding ring." Maya opened the box and found a delicate band that matched her engagement ring perfectly. Inside the band, there was an engraving that made her start crying again. "Forever starts now," she read out loud. "It's what you said to me that night when we decided to do this together," David said. "You said our forever was starting right then. I wanted you to remember that every time you look at your ring." Maya couldn't stop crying. These pregnancy hormones were making her so emotional, but this felt bigger than hormones. This felt like the moment when everything in her life finally made sense. "I can't believe I get to marry you," she whispered. "I can't believe you want to," David said back. "6 months ago I was just some guy who took pictures and avoided commitment. Now I'm about to be a husband and a father, and I've never been happier in my life." "Are you scared?" Maya asked. "Terrified," David admitted. "But the good kind of scared. The kind that means something really important is about to happen." Maya looked down at her belly, where Elena was currently doing what felt like gymnastics. "She's going to be here so soon." 8 weeks, David said. 8 weeks and we'll be parents. Are we ready for this? David looked around their apartment. They'd spent weeks getting everything ready. The nursery was painted a soft yellow with white furniture. They had a crib, a changing table, more baby clothes than one tiny person could ever wear, and a rocking chair where Maya planned to feed Elena in the middle of the night. But Maya wasn't really asking about stuff. She was asking about the bigger things. About whether they were ready to be responsible for another human being. About whether their love was strong enough to handle sleepless nights and crying babies, and all the challenges that came with being parents. "I don't think anyone's ever really ready," David said honestly. But I think we're as ready as we can be. We love each other, we love Elena, and we're going to figure out the rest as we go. Maya nodded. Together. Together, David agreed. That night, as Maya lay in bed with David's arm around her and his hand on her belly, she thought about how much her life had changed. A year ago, she never could have imagined this moment. She'd been so focused on her career, so sure that success meant climbing the corporate ladder and proving she didn't need anyone. Now she was about to become a wife and mother, and instead of feeling like she was giving something up, she felt like she was gaining everything she never knew she wanted. Elena kicked hard against David's hand and he laughed softly. I think someone's excited to meet us, he whispered. Just a little longer, baby girl, Maya whispered to her belly. Mommy and Daddy are almost ready for you. But as she said it, Maya realized they were ready. Maybe they didn't have all the answers, maybe they'd make mistakes, but they had love. And sometimes love was enough to build everything else on. Maya's water broke at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, 2 weeks before her due date. She woke up feeling like something was different, then felt the warm wetness and knew immediately what was happening. For a moment, she just lay there in the dark, trying to process that this was really it. After 9 months of waiting and planning and preparing, their daughter was finally ready to meet them. David, she whispered, gently shaking his shoulder. David, wake up. What's wrong? David mumbled, still half asleep. My water just broke. David's eyes shot open. He sat up so fast he nearly fell out of bed. Are you serious? Right now? Right now, Maya confirmed, trying to stay calm even though her heart was racing. David jumped out of bed and started running around the room, grabbing clothes and the hospital bag they'd packed weeks ago. Maya watched him, amused, despite everything. David, slow down, we have time. How much time? Should I call the doctor? Should we leave now? Oh God, I can't find my shoes. Maya started laughing, which made David stop and look at her. Why are you laughing? Shouldn't you be in pain or something? The contractions haven't really started yet, Maya said. Dr. Peterson said we have time once the water breaks. And your shoes are by the front door where you always leave them. David took a deep breath. Right, okay, I can do this, we can do this. We can definitely do this, Maya agreed. By the time they got to the hospital, Maya's contractions had started. They weren't too bad at first, just uncomfortable, like really strong period cramps. But as the hours went by, they got stronger and closer together. David never left her side. He held her hand through every contraction, helped her walk around the room when the nurse said movement would help, and told her terrible jokes to try to distract her from the pain. Why don't scientists trust atoms? He asked during one particularly strong contraction. I don't know why, Maya panted. Because they make up everything. Maya groaned, but she was smiling. That's awful. I've got 1,000,000 more where that came from. Please don't use them all today. 12 hours later, Maya was exhausted, sweaty, and ready for this to be over. The contractions were coming one right after another now, and she couldn't imagine how much more of this she could take. I can't do this anymore, she told David, squeezing his hand so hard she was probably cutting off his circulation. Yes, you can, David said firmly. You're the strongest person I know, remember? You're almost there. Maya, I can see the baby's head, Dr. Peterson said from the foot of the bed. Just a few more pushes and you'll get to meet your daughter. Maya found strength she didn't know she had left. With David cheering her on and holding her hand, she pushed with everything she had, and then suddenly there was crying. Not Maya's crying, but a different kind of crying. High and loud and absolutely perfect. She's here, Dr. Peterson announced. Maya, David, meet your daughter. Maya collapsed back against the pillows, completely exhausted but happier than she'd ever been in her life. The doctor placed a tiny, wrinkled, perfect baby on Maya's chest and the world stopped. Elena Rose Rodriguez had arrived. She was small and red and covered in all kinds of stuff that Maya didn't want to think about. But she was the most beautiful thing Maya had ever seen. Elena had a full head of dark hair like David's and tiny fingers that immediately wrapped around Maya's thumb. Hi, baby girl, Maya whispered, tears streaming down her face. I'm your mommy." David was crying too. He leaned down and kissed Maya's forehead, then very gently touched Elena's tiny hand. "She's perfect," he whispered. "Maya, look what we made." "I know," Maya said, unable to look away from their daughter. "I can't believe she's really here." Elena opened her eyes then, just for a moment, and Maya swore she looked right at her, like she knew exactly who Maya was. "She has your eyes," David said softly. "She has your hair," Maya replied. "She's going to have both of our attitudes," David said, and Maya laughed. The next few hours were a blur of nurses and visitors and Elena being checked by doctors. Maya's parents arrived first, followed by David's sister, who immediately started crying when she held Elena for the first time. "She's so tiny," Lila whispered. "David, she looks just like you did when you were born. Poor kid," David joked, but Maya could see how proud he was. When everyone finally left and it was just the three of them, Maya finally had a chance to really study their daughter. Elena was sleeping peacefully in the little hospital bassinet next to Maya's bed, wrapped in a pink blanket with a tiny hat on her head. "I can't believe we made her," Maya said for the 100th time. "I can't believe she's ours," David replied. "Like, we get to take her home and keep her forever." "Forever is a long time," Maya said, thinking back to all the conversations they'd had about forever over the past 9 months. "Not long enough," David said. 3 months later, Maya stood in her parents' backyard in a simple white dress, holding Elena while David waited for her at the altar they'd set up under her mother's favorite oak tree. Elena had been the perfect baby so far. She slept pretty well, she ate well, and she hardly ever cried except when she was hungry or needed to be changed. Maya's friends with kids said she was lucky, but Maya thought it was just because Elena was happy. She was surrounded by people who loved her, and babies could sense that kind of thing. "Ready?" Maya's father asked, offering her his arm to walk her down the makeshift aisle. "More than ready," Maya said. As they walked toward David, Maya thought about everything that had led to this moment. The shock of finding out she was pregnant, the fear of telling David, the scary weeks when they thought something might be wrong, the joy of finding out Elena was healthy, and finally, the incredible experience of bringing her into the world. David was waiting for her with the biggest smile on his face. He was wearing a simple dark suit, and Elena immediately reached for him when Maya got close enough. "I think someone wants her daddy," the minister said, and everyone laughed. David took Elena and held her while he and Maya exchanged vows they'd written themselves. "Maya," David said, looking into her eyes while Elena grabbed at his tie. "9 months ago, you changed my life in the best possible way. You taught me that love isn't just a feeling, it's a choice we make every single day. I choose you today, and I'll choose you every day for the rest of our lives." Maya was crying before she even started her own vows. "David, you showed up when I needed you most, and you never left. You held my hand through every scary moment and celebrated every happy one. You're not just the love of my life, you're my best friend and the best father Elena could ask for. I can't wait to spend forever with you." When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, Elena chose that exact moment to laugh for the first time. Not just a smile, but an actual giggle that made everyone in the audience start crying. "I think our daughter approves," David said, kissing Maya while Elena laughed again. Later that evening, after all the guests had gone home and Elena was sleeping peacefully in her travel crib, Maya and David sat on the porch swing at her parents' house, still in their wedding clothes. "So we did it," Maya said, curled up against David's side. "We're actually married." "Best decision I ever made," David said, kissing the top of her head. "Even better than deciding to keep Elena?" "That wasn't really a decision," David said. "That was just my heart knowing what it wanted before my brain caught up." Maya smiled. "I love you, husband." "I love you too, wife." 1 year later, Maya was back at work part-time as a creative director. Elena was taking her first wobbly steps, and David's photography business was busier than ever. They'd moved into a house with a big backyard where Elena could play, and they were already talking about giving her a little brother or sister someday. Can you believe it's been a year since she was born? Maya asked David as they watched Elena cruise along the coffee table, determined to reach the toy car just out of her grasp. Feels like yesterday and forever at the same time, David said. Elena finally reached the toy and immediately put it in her mouth. Maya started to get up to take it away, but David stopped her. It's clean, he said. Let her explore. Maya settled back into David's arms. This was her favorite time of day, when Elena was happy and playing, David was home from work, and they could just be together as a family. Do you ever miss it? David asked. The way things were before? Just the two of us? Maya thought about it seriously. She missed sleeping through the night and having spontaneous date nights. She missed being able to leave the house without packing what felt like half their belongings. But then Elena looked up at them and clapped her little hands, together giggling at absolutely nothing, and Maya's heart melted all over again. No, she said honestly. I wouldn't change anything about our life. Not even the part where you got pregnant and panicked and told me I was stuck with you forever. Maya laughed. Especially not that part. That was the beginning of everything. Good. David squeezed her closer. Forever really did start that night, didn't it? Forever started the moment I fell in love with you, Maya corrected. Everything else was just the details. Elena chose that moment to take 3 shaky steps toward them before falling down on her bottom. Instead of crying, she clapped and tried. Again. Just like her parents, David said proudly. She doesn't give up. Maya watched their daughter try again and again, until she finally made it all the way to the couch where they were sitting. When Elena pulled,